Uh, Shabbat Shalom, and I can see that now we're online. So Shabbat Shalom to all of you who have joined us online today from wherever you are. So if you can just put your name and the place where you're watching us from so I can read you properly. So service number 4 on page 122, please stand. Shabbat Shalom. Please be seated. So today's service number 4, because it's a service dedicated to community, and today we are privileged to have with us Ruth Seeger, who is the chair of Liberal Judaism. So you know, Liberal Judaism, our movement, is run by the Board of National Officers, aka the trustees of the movement, and Ruth is the chair. So thank you so much for coming today. It's an honor and a pleasure. And Ruth will talk later about the amazing news that are happening with the movement at the moment, and will be a time for Q&A. If you have any question, Ruth will be able to answer them, because we have some very exciting time coming ahead. So thank you for being with us just a week after the announcement. I know that you're very busy at the moment with all the things that are happening with LJ, so it's a real pleasure and privilege. We are on page 123. We have a blessing about the community. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for the strength that comes to us through our community. לעולם יהא אדם ירא שמיים בסתר ובגלוי ומודה על האמת ודובר אמת בלבבו. Sovereign of all worlds, we lay our supplications before you, relying not on our merit, but on your abundant mercy. For what are we? What is our life? And what our piety? What our goodness and what our strength? What can we say in your presence, eternal God? Are not the mightiest of us as nothing before you, the famous as though they had never lived, the learned as if they had no knowledge, the wise as if without understanding. For most of what we do is futile, and our life on earth is but a span. Our superiority over animals amounts to little, for all is vanity. Nevertheless, we are your people, children of your covenant, and called to your service. Therefore, it is right that we should thank and praise you, to proclaim your holiness, and daily say before you. Yeah, please, yeah. Ashreinu, happy are we, how good is our portion, how pleasant our lot, how beautiful our heritage. Ashreinu, Ashreinu, ma tov, ma tov, ma tov chelkeinu. Ashreinu, Ashreinu, ma tov, ma tov, ma tov chelkeinu. Umanaim, umanaim, umanaim goraleinu. Umanaim, umanaim, umanaim goraleinu. Umanaim, goraleinu. Umanaim, umanaim, umanaim goraleinu. Umayafa, mayafa, mayafa, umayafa, umayafa, Yerushateinu, Ashreinu. Umayafa, umayafa, mayafa, umayafa, umayafa, Yerushateinu, Ashreinu. ברוך שאמר והיה העולם ברוך הוא. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, המעולל בפי עמו, משובח ומפואר בלשון חסידיו ועבדיו, בשבחות ובזמירות, נגדל לך ונמליך מלכנו יחיד חי העולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני מלך מעולל בתשבחות. At dawn and dusk I seek you, reach out and look to you. With soul athirst I yearn for you. I am a beggar at your door. The galaxies cannot contain you, yet you dwell in my inmost being. I hold your glory in my heart. My love for you exceeds my speech. So I will praise your name, Eternal One, as long as your breath of life remains within me. Praise be the Eternal One forever. Amen and amen. Praise be the eternal God, the God of Israel, who does wonderful things. Let God's glorious name be praised forever, and let the whole earth be filled with God's glory. Amen and amen. Ishmat kol chai tevarer et shimcha Adonai Eloheinu veruach kol basar tevarer utromem zirecha malkeinu tamid min haolam ve'ad haolam ata el ha'el. God of all ages and of all generations, of all creatures to whom our praise ascends, you guide the world with constant love, your children with tender care. To you alone we give thanks. So as it's Shabbat Ha'atzmaut, we are going now to use the tune, the music written by Shlomo Gronich, which comes from Israel, and it's Ilufinu Male. So we've started to introduce it to Careless, and slowly we're getting into this new music. So.
Yes, absolutely. And just for Ruth's benefit, just to note, just so you know, Ruth, you might be interested. So I was in Israel last summer, and I went to one of the progressive synagogues in Jerusalem, and I'm sorry I can't remember the name, but the cantor sang Ilu Finu, and I was like, wow, beautiful. So I brought it back and I said, Renna, we've got to sing this. So
Yes.
that's definitely.
And René never says no to Rebecca.
And Renna said, "Listen, I can do Rebecca," so that's great.
ושפתותינו שבח כמרחי רקיע, ועינינו מאירות כשמש ויח ירח, וידינו פרוסות כנשרי שמיים, ורגלינו קלות כאיילות. אין אנחנו מספיקים להודות לך, אדוני אלוהינו, אלוהי אבותינו.
Page 127. Every mouth shall thank you, every tongue shall bear witness to you, every knee shall bend to you, every body bow down to you, every heart shall revere you, and every fiber of our being shall sing your praise. For so it is written, all my bones shall say, who is like you, eternal one? Therefore we extol you and proclaim your glory, and praise your holy name, as it is said, praise the eternal one, O my soul, that all that is within me praise God's holy name. And we read responsively, the eternal one reigns in grandeur robed, and girded with strength. The world stands firm, it shall not be moved. Your throne is established from of old, for you are everlasting. The oceans roar, eternal God, the thundering oceans roar, the thundering oceans rage. Yet greater than the roaring waves, mightier than the breaking seas, you stand supreme on high. Sure are the proofs of your power, O God, and holiness adorns your house forever. Please stand on page 135 for Yishtabach 135, and we go straight into the Baruch. Yishtabach Shimcha Lad Malkeinu, אל המלך הגדול והקדוש בשמיים ובארץ, כי לך נא אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואימותינו, שירו שחר, הלל ושמחה, ברכות והודאות, ואתה בעד עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בשירי זמרה. We praise you, Eternal One, our God, sovereign of the universe, maker of light and creator of darkness, author of peace and creator of all things. In your mercy you give light to the earth and all who live on it, and in your goodness you renew creation, continually day by day. How manifold are your works, O God, with wisdom have you made them all. The world is full of your creations, your handiwork proclaims your praise, the radiant stars bear witness to your glory. We praise you, O God, creator of light. Great is your love for us, eternal God, and abundant your compassion. Our ancestors trusted in you, and you taught them the laws of life, so be gracious to us and teach us. Incline our hearts to hear your words, to know and understand, to learn and teach, and with love to uphold the truth of your Torah. Enlighten us with your teaching. Make us faithful to your commandments and wholehearted in the love and awe of your name. For in love you summon us to serve you and proclaim your unity. We praise you, O God. In love you have called the people Israel to serve you. Please rise. בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך. ושננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Please be seated. Good and beautiful and true, sound, established and enduring are these words now and forever. True it is, Eternal One, that you are our sovereign God and Redeemer, as you were the God and Redeemer of our ancestors. You are our Maker, the rock of our salvation. We have known you always as our helper and our liberator. There is no God but you. Truly you are first and you are last. We have no Redeemer but you. You redeemed us from Egypt and freed us from the house of bondage. Then with great joy Moses, Miriam, and all Israel together sang to you this song.
Lord.
make sure that
Just
it's
when
still.
you are paying attention.
Yes. You know, my revelation was during COVID when we started, and I really had to liaise with everybody in the community to make sure that services went well. I was called the off-track rabbi, so I got much better. Yes, because you know I like the inspiration of the moment, but
Yeah, we won't say where the bar started.
I mean yes, so yeah, we did much better. Okay,
You never know what you're going to quite get.
Well, we always need to leave a bit of
A little bit of excitement,
uncertainty.
a little bit of danger.
Page 139. Sur Israel, Kuma Bezrat Israel, Goaleinu Adonai, Tzevaot Shemo, Kedosh Israel, Baruch Ata Adonai, Gal Israel, Gal Israel, Israel. Page 130 for the Amidah, please rise. 140, yeah, what did I say? Okay. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avoteinu ve'Imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Anora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim ve'Koneh Hakol, ve'Zocher Chazdei Avot ve'Imaot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה מתים, אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מזריח השמש ומוריד הטל. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיה מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיע ישועה. ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים. לקדש את שמך בעולם כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך. קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ, כבודו, כבודו מלא עולם. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. במקומך מלכנו תופיע, ותמלוך עלינו, כי מחכים אנחנו לך. ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור, נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נגיש. לדור ודור
ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נרגיש ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד לעולם ועד ברוך אתה
Please be seated. You inspired our ancestors to hallow this day for your service. When upon its coming we pause to contemplate our life, we learn anew that we do not live by bread alone, but also by the spiritual nourishment we receive when we open ourselves to influence. We thank you for the Sabbath day and for the opportunity it offers to enhance the quality of our lives. We thank you for its joy and for its peace. May our worship help us to take into our hearts its message of holiness and consecrate all our days by devotion to what is true, beautiful, and good.
ישמחו במלכותך, ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי שבת וגורם עונג, המקדשי שביעי, המקדשי שביעי, כולם ישבעו וינתנו מטובך, והשביעי, והשביעי, רצית בו וקידשתו, חמדת ימים, חמדת ימים, אותו קראת, זכר למעשה בראשית.
Our God and God of ancestors, may our rest on this day be pleasing in your sight. Sanctify us by your commandments and make us loyal to your teaching. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, eternal one, let the holiness of your Sabbath enter our hearts, and when all Israel who hallow your name be exalted by its peace. We praise you, God, for the holiness of the Sabbath. Eternal God, be gracious to people Israel, and in your love accept their prayers. May our worship now and always be acceptable in your sight. We praise you, O God, whom alone we worship in reverence. And together we say, we give thanks that you, Eternal One, are our God, as you were the God of ancestors. You are the rock of our life, the power that shields us in every age. We thank and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your keeping, for the signs of your presence we encounter every day, and for your wondrous gifts at all times, morning, noon, and night. We praise you, O God, source of goodness, to whom our thanks are due. I just wanted to stop on one. Sometimes you read these prayers, many times, and sometimes there's something stuck in your head. And here, we thank you for the signs of your presence we encounter every day. So I don't know how much we can actually see God's presence every day, but it's a kind of a reminder that we need to open our eyes and to see that, we can meet God every day in the most mundane activity. Sim Shalom.
Sim Shalom, Tova uvracha, Sim Shalom, Tova uvracha, Sim Shalom, שים שלום, טובה וברכה. חן וחסד, חן וחסד ורחמים. חן וחסד, חן וחסד ורחמים, ורחמים. שים שלום, טובה וברכה. שים שלום, טובה וברכה. עלינו ועל כל ישראל, עלינו ועל כל ישראל, עמך שים שלום, טובה וברכה. שים שלום, טובה וברכה.
It is good in your sight that you people Israel and all peoples be blessed at all times with your gift of peace. We praise you, O God, the source of peace, and we take now a few moments for private prayer and meditation.
וגואלי הוא לרצון
you've got such a lovely high voice. I can't join you up there.
It's D-minor. D-minor. It's a good key.
If you say so. Okay, it's time for the Torah service, Seder Kriyat Torah. So this year we have two parashot combined, Tazria, Metzora. Oh, you don't need to stand. I always say you're ready. I'll let you know. Ready. We have two parashot combined this year, Tazria, Metzora, which is kind of. I'm very glad that Ruth is here because she will talk to you later, and I don't have to write a sermon today because it's always complicated to talk about Tazria Metzora. Manu, there's a very interesting thing about the skin disease that you get when you gossip. So this is why Jewish skin doctors are always so successful because there's so much gossip. So Ruth, you will have an aliyah, as I said to you. I think Dominic, I will ask you if you're okay to do the gabbai. I need someone to. Oh, your knees are bad. Okay, so I hope I worked enough. So Janet, are you happy to do the gabbai?
I'm terribly allergic to lilies. I do not want to get that close to
No, but I'm going to take them away because.
Can you open the window?
Yeah,
Yes, that's why I'm sitting here also, and so
Oh,
the
dear.
lilies. Yeah, Teresa, if they're in the house, it's like nose, throat, headache, horrible. Yeah. They're very
Okay, I need two people to open the ark, one person to take the scroll out. Does anyone have are you happy to do that? Yeah. So, Norman, which one do you want to? Can you happy to take the scroll out? Okay. Sandra, I'm looking. This is funny because when at this moment of the service, I look at people. Open the ark.
I can open.
Okay, you open the ark as well. Okay, brilliant. So, we are on page 481. 481. En kamocha ba'Elohim Adonai, ven kema'asecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, umemshaltecha bechol dor vador. Please stand. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch, leolam ha'ed, Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. So, as you move the middle one. And you close the ark. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adoneinu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadolu l'Adonai Yitin, Romama Shemo Yachtav. Lecha Adonai Agedula, Ve'agevura, Ve'atiferet, Ve'anetza, Ve'ahod. Ki chol bashamayim u'ba'aretz, Ki chol bashamayim u'ba'aretz. Lecha Adonai הממלכה והמתנשא לכל לראש. על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים
שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, thank you, העולם עומד.
Thank you. Please be seated. So you know that as I said, that there's a skin disease that attack the skin, and of course they didn't have the medical knowledge we have today. So for them, skin disease was the result, the symptoms of a sin. So if you sin, you get a disease. Of course, today it's a bit different. So this happened to human beings, but also to buildings. And that's the passage I'm going to read today. If you want to follow in your Humashim, it's Leviticus chapter 14, verse 33 to 41. So this is what the Torah says. 33 to... So the Eternal spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, when you enter the land of Canaan, that I give you as a possession, and I inflict an eruptive plague upon a house in the land you possess, the owner of the house shall come and tell the priest, saying, something like a plague has appeared upon my house. The priest shall order the house cleared before the priest enters, to examine the plague, so that nothing in the house may become impure. After that, the priest shall enter to examine the house. If, when he examines the plague in the walls of the house is found to consist of greenish and reddish streaks that appear to go deep into the wall, so it's quite very specific, so very interesting. The priest shall come out of the house to the entrance of the house and close up the house for 7 days. On the 7th day, the priest shall return. If he sees that the plague has spread on the walls of the house, the priest shall order the stones with the plague in them to be pulled out and cast outside the city into an impure place. The house shall be scrubbed inside all around, and the coating that is scrubbed off shall be dumped outside the city in an impure place. They shall take other stones and replace those stones with them, and take other coating and plaster the house. So, of course, I've been thinking about that in the light of mold. Sometimes I was looking at some properties online, and I saw somewhere in the area a flat to be sold at £500,000. Not very expensive, in the area, but the walls were covered with mold, and it's absolutely disgusting. What
and they put that online.
They put that online. Yeah, absolutely. And they will sell it. They will sell it because there's a shortage of houses.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of respecting people, I think. So the impurity in the Leviticus, a very different world than ours. Purity was acquired through sins, but also transmitted through touching. For example, a woman who has a period, when she sits on a chair, the chair gets the impurity, because it was considered the impurity in those days. So you could actually pass the impurity around, and the priest comes and. Actually, it doesn't really say what the priest does. They say, okay, close the door, house for 7 days, and after 7 days, there is still impurity, the stones will be taken out. Okay, so Ruth, what's your Hebrew name?
It's
Ruth?
Julie Eric, my case, she's there.
Okay. תעמוד לקרוא בתורה רות בת ג'ודית ואריק. Okay, so maybe if you could go here, so then, so you okay with okay, brilliant. Where is Vineyard? Okay. Yeah, okay.
Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevarach.
Baruch Adonai Mevarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher bachar banu v'kol ha'amim, natanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
אמן. וידבר אדוני אל משה ואל אהרון לאמור, כי תבואו אל ארץ כנען, אשר אני נותן לכם לאחוזתה, ונתתי נגע צרת בבית ארץ אחוזתם, ובא אשר לו הבית, והגיד לכהן לאמור, כנגע נראה לי בבית, וציווה הכהן ופינו את הבית, בטרם יבוא הכהן לראות את הנגע, ולא יטמע כל אשר בבית, ואחר כן יבוא הכהן לראות את הבית, וראה את הנגע, והנה הנגע בקירות הבית. So this word is שקערורות ירק חירות או אדמדהות, ומאיתן ספל מן הקיר, ויצא הכהן מן הבית אל פתח הבית, והשיג את הבית 7 ימים, ושב הכהן ביום השביעי, וראה והנה פשע הנגע בקירות הבית, וציווה הכהן וחילצו את האבנים אשר בהן הנגע, ושליחו אתן אל מחוץ לעיר, אל מקום טמא.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. מי שברך, מי שברך אבותינו אברהם, שרה, רבקה, רחל ולאה, הוא יברך את רות שעלתה לכבוד המקום ולכבוד השבת. הקדוש ברוך הוא יברך אותה ואת כל משפחתה וישלח ברכה והצלחה בכל מעשה ידיה עם כל ישראל אחיה ואחיותיה, ונאמר אמן. May the one who blessed our ancestors Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel and Leah bless Ruth, who have come up to the Torah in honor of God and of the Sabbath. May the Holy One ever to be praised bless her, her family, and the Board of National Officers of Liberal Judaism, and prosper them in all that they undertake, together with all their brothers and sisters of the house of Israel. And let us say, Amen. Yasher koach. Thank you. Right. Are you happy with raising the scroll? So please stand. We are on page 483.
ברוך שנתן תורה לעמו ישראל בקדושתו.
Please be seated. Yeah, thank you. So today, Yom Ha'atzmaut, instead of reading the traditional Haftarah from the Book of Prophets, I thought it would be nice to listen again to the Declaration of Independence. Maybe, Maya, you're happy to come and read. There's a passage in your prayer books for Yom Ha'atzmaut. So we read it yesterday, and I'd like us to read it again. It's really the core of from page 372 No, 374. If you want to read the Hebrew, Maya, and we can follow in the English. Yeah, please, yes. 374.
I never realized. מדינת ישראל תהא פתוחה לעלייה יהודית ולקיבוץ גלויות, תשקוד על פיתוח הארץ לטובת כל תושביה, תהא מושתתת על יסודות החירות, הצדק והשלום לאור חזונם של נביאי ישראל, תקים שוויון זכויות חברתי ומדיני גמור לכל אזרחיה בלי הבדל דת, גזע ומין, תבטיח חופש דת, מצפון, לשון, חינוך ותרבות, תשמור על המקומות הקדושים של כל הדתות ותהיה נאמנה לעקרונותיה של מגילת אומות המאוחדות.
Thank you. So let's sing together the Atikva. Yes, please stand.
כל בלבב פנימה, נפש יהודי הומייה, ולפאתם מזרח קדימה, עין לציון צופיה, אור לא עבדה תקוותנו, התקווה שנות 2000, להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון בירושלים, להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון בירושלים.
Thank you. So we're going to, please open. We're on page 489.
לקח טוב נתתי לכם תורתי, אל תעזובו עץ חיים היא למחזיקים בה, ותומכי המאושר, דרכי ידכם נועם, וכל נתיבותיה שלום.
Please be seated. So, Ruth, it's over to you now. Oh, yeah, you can come here.
Shabbat Shalom, it's an absolute pleasure to be here. Visiting communities is the very best part of this role. I just love it. Now, I often start off with the links I have with the community. It's so often I do have links, a rather large family. But as I've met some people there who know them, my Uncle Tony and Auntie Barbara were members here, and for many, many years. When was this congregation founded?
67. Okay, so there's a story that's possibly true then, which is that my father, who founded with others our own congregation in Crawley, also encouraged Tony to join this one and to be right at the beginning. So, do you remember? I don't know if you know my dad, Eric Epson, but he was.
Ruth,
Yeah.
can I just very quickly say that your mum and dad used to have fish and chips with them on a Friday night in Tulworth before we came to the synagogue.
Isn't it amazing? No wonder it feels so holy here. I digress, which I do. Yes, I digress a bit, but I've come here today, and the music is so familiar. There's a range of tunes. I'm used to them all, but it's nice to hear ones that I'm familiar with and that I really like. It feels terribly homely. Might move in, who knows?
You can't join.
Oh. No, you may regret that. So, what I was going to talk about, I've lost it and I've hardly started. What I was going to talk about this morning is a bit about the direction of travel of LJ, Liberal Judaism, where we are, where we're going. A lot about the unification, and finish off with talking a little bit about the biennial. There's opportunity for questions at any time. Probably at the end is best, but it doesn't have to be. And there's nothing off limits. There's no secrets, except things that are told to me confidentially, but that doesn't really count here. So,
Confidential items.
I've had to learn to keep a secret. Yes. So. My husband says, don't keep using the word inclusion, Ruth, it's wearing. But we will continue to include Jews, Judaism for all Jews, including those in the margins, but that does not make us marginal Judaism. We are mainstream. We have found, as we know, inclusion is a big issue, that actually somebody said, it was actually Janet, the other Janet Barden, Rabbi Janet, at Burden, that she said, if you include single people, if you make sure that what you do includes them and is appropriate for them, you actually end up including an awful lot of people. You include old people, you include LGBT, you include those who are divorced, those who are not getting on with their partners, that happens, those who've never found a partner, those who can't have children, those who've got partners who are less interested, those who don't otherwise feel welcome, and those without children. So, I've not got so much further, but as I'm minded to think about this, that's what I try and keep in my mind. Then we will include everybody without making a spectacle out of them or embarrassing anybody. But it's not kind of always okay to always have a family event and then you realise actually some people aren't comfortable there. We are a movement that includes all party political leanings. We are not a bunch of trots. We include Jews regardless of their views of Israel. There is a widespread, and everybody is valid, but everybody else's also counts. And we continue to include the non-Jewish members of Jewish families, of course. Since I've become chair, we've I've become more active in it. Other people were doing it before me, but mixing it more with the Jewish community, the wider Jewish community, building links with progressive Jews in the UK and beyond, the wider Jewish community in the UK, things like the Board of Deputies, the JLC, the Israeli Embassy. I didn't realise quite how broad it was. Also, how much more that we share, how much more we have in common than divides us. We all celebrate the same festivals, we all have the same security interests, we read the same Torah, we share a lot. And we are a respected movement. Rabbi Charlie Baginski, our Chief Executive Officer, gets invited to lots of things, representing far beyond liberal Judaism, far beyond progressive Judaism, beyond Judaism. She was asked to open or speak on faith for, I forget what it was, something to do with children, but it was all faiths, all religions, not just Judaism. We've spent a lot of time increasing connections within our movement and beyond. This was, of course, initiated by COVID, there wasn't much of a silver lining in that very grey cloud. Not at all, was there? But we did create links. Big communities were generous with their events and invited everybody. Small ones joined up together, and those links have continued. The community briefings, where we can all share, and where I've, of course, seen Craig and Rebecca, and it's so nice to see you in person, but in others, but you know, that's where that built another sort of community. We have the biennial, I'll be returning to that, our conference. We enjoy, I put this in here, in our movement, and you'll see where I'll come back to that, we enjoy good relations between the lay, the rabbis, the professional staff and communities. I think we do. Please nod, yeah. And it's something that you can't take for granted. And it means that we don't spend time arguing amongst ourselves with friction. We have disagreements, but we sort them out. We don't do broiguses. And so we can spend our energies and our time going out there and promoting progressive Judaism and ourselves and encouraging more people. And we have had last year a bumper year for people joining us, for converts, people just becoming Jewish. Now, this strength, you know, we're financially solvent, which because people pay their bills, and we, you know, somebody said a long while ago, if you want to encourage people to fund you, people to join in, you have to become, it's not about going out there and asking them, actually. It's not about that. It's not about begging. It's about becoming a movement that people want to support. People want to support with their time, their energy, and their money. Which brings us to the unification of a progressive Jewish movement within the UK. So, when 3.5 years ago, Simon, our previous chair, was actually taken ill in a meeting, I had to take over, not at 5 minutes' notice, but about 1 minute's notice. And as he was sort of shipped off and ended up in hospital. But one of the first things I was taken to was a meeting with the chief executive and chair of Reform Judaism. It was Jeffrey Marks and Trevor Chin there, and Danny was there too, Danny Ridge. And it was a smoke-filled room with everything other than the smoke in there. It was about unification, merger, and I learned there that these discussions had been going on for decades, and I do mean decades. People will say, I remember 1984, somebody went back to the 1970s. It has been going on and on. And what they were planning was to get management consultants in, one from each side, and create a movement. And sort of my jaw, I said, I can't do that. I haven't got permission from council. I need to talk to council about this. You know, we can't do that. And I've always stood on a platform of open and transparent governance. So, and they said, well, they might not agree, or I don't know what they might not have done, but I took it to council, who in about May 2020, and who agreed that we should continue pursuing closer working with Reform. There was no end point at that point. It wasn't necessarily merger. And I think people got a bit weary of having their hopes raised and dashed, and people didn't really dare to think it was going to happen or it could. But we had that agreement to continue the discussion. So at that time, the state of play was the movements had started from very different places. You know, as is from the great Lily Montague, who, of course, you know, I mentioned this in Reform, and they don't really get how wonderful she is. But not that they disagree. It's just she's just not one of their legends, and she is one of ours. And the Reform was largely the Reform rabbis from Germany who came before the war. But we ended up very much in the same place. You know, at the time, years ago, we were very radical, but actually the whole world's become more radical. So, and we've become slightly less radical. So, you know, when I was a child, men didn't wear kippot, bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah had gone, I was confirmed, because that was considered, a lot of things were considered idolatrous. It's still in me, you know, I see a lot of things as idolatrous, which other people don't. And, well, there's a variety, that's another big variety within the movement. We used to have a number of theological differences, but really there are none left. There are nuances, there are no significant theological differences. There were not 3 years ago either. Once the Reform had accepted patrilineal Jews, that was really the last barrier. That was the last barrier, and there was not really anything more. There are many benefits of a single unified movement, you know, then, and people saw them. And one thing was, you know, Rabbi Ephraim Mervis, the chief rabbi of the others, and he sort of has a very strong relationship with Charlie Baginski, and he said to her, often I'm sympathetic, I would often like to say, let's have a progressive rabbi at this discussion too, but I don't know who to ask. There's more than one movement. But together we'll be 30%. Now that's significant. The United will be about 50%, I would think. Then we've got Haredi and Federation, you know, others are smaller groups. But it's as much more significant. There were no real disadvantages that anybody could see, except there were substantial cultural differences which got in the way, and I learned a bit more about them over the last few years. And the main one was there was no chief executive officer in the MRJ, and there hadn't been since Ben Rich finished there in about 2011, I think.
I think it was. Yes,
Was it about then?
In 2012.
2012. So
2012 was just after our mother died.
Okay, 2012. And so there was a power vacuum at the top. I didn't really go into which there was some sort of confusion. You also had some very overworked chairs who were trying to be chair and chief executive. Now, believe me, that's too much. That is too much to ask of anybody. So they often had bigger fish to fry. You know, that lack of a CEO brought problems. And so they didn't really have the focus. We had I had some discussions with them, and they were positive, but they just didn't have the capacity, the headspace to deal with it. And we did have these different cultures, so sometimes I would think, oh, that's a bit rum, and then they also thought the same about me, you know, who they needed to contact and who they didn't. But somehow, so, you know, Charlie and I continued developing LJ, and sort of giving up and hoping and giving up and hoping. And then the stars sort of aligned in the last November, December. And we agreed, and so people came together, there was approaches, there was communications between the two movements, quiet, subtle, of people who knew each other, and thinking that it was time, this was the opportunity, and if not now, when? And so we set up a working group with the two chairs. Oh, there was three actually, because they had co-chairs, but now one of them stepped back a bit. And a rabbi from Reform and our own chief executive. And we had to get to know each other, we had to get to trust each other. The person who's now the chief executive officer was in a different post. There were sensitivities. We had to be secret. Things weren't agreed. People were finding their feet, you know, developing relationship, which you do need, and deciding what we thought was viable. And various formalities had to go through. Now, there was a bit of a line I felt I was treading, which was that I was very, very clear always that council has the last word. Council is where decisions are made, and it's only where decisions are made. The board can make suggestions, but council make. So developing something, I had to sort of feel that I was within the principles of what they had agreed in 2020, that we could promote and pursue relationship, but not go beyond. Now the benefits, not go beyond that, but we had to have something to say this is what we think should be. Now, and as you know, that was announced earlier this week. And the benefits are, as I said, 30% will be 30% of the UK jury together, so we will have a place at a table that neither of us movements have had before. We will have a louder voice. We will be able to attract more. We will be heard more. We have the opportunity to create something new. We've been quite clear that we're not calling it a merger, we're calling it the creation together of a new and better progressive Jewish movement. I think that'll be called progressive Judaism. We will end there's been a bit of idiosyncrasy in this country and in no others. There are two progressive movements. There will be some efficiencies, but the driving force is absolutely not saving money, it's doing something better. But there will be efficiencies. And there's already a huge diversity within each movement, within each synagogue, the differences between movements and between people within synagogues and within that is not greater. It is greater than the differences between the movements. So things like, do you parade the Torah or not? Well, some people in the synagogue will, some people will think it's idolatrous. Some people think women should wear talit, some people think they can. Nobody thinks they shouldn't really. But do you know what I mean? There are different views within, and amongst me, we'll all share those. But we've been quite clear about this. There is no need or requirement for anybody to change any practice. Your minhag stays as what it is. The name, nobody changes the name. Nobody needs to change a prayer book. Nobody's being asked to do any of those. And absolutely nobody is expecting any amalgamations. Choice is a good thing. I often look at the Christian community, for example, on this. They have loads of churches in one area. The different denominations are the same. People choose whichever one suits them best, whichever one they like. And that actually is the same situation with us now. People can move between communities, and they do. There's the synagogue you go to, the synagogue you don't go to. And as I joke, that happened to me. I moved one because I didn't like the minhag. And then the synagogue I went to and the synagogue I didn't go to merged. And actually, by that time, I know it's a joke, I'd got over myself. I was really pleased to see the people that I hadn't seen for years. He said, you left a bit suddenly. And I was cross about something. Do you think I can remember what it was? I'm not entirely sure I can. So it was all a bit, but that's not being asked and it's not being expected. It's not about that. There will be a new name. So from here, where we need to go is we need to get agreement from council. We have to announce it so that everybody knows what it is they can talk about and discuss. We take it to council. I think council will agree, but it's up to council, and that's the same for reform. We need to set up an advisory board, which will have, it won't be half and half. It's not about that. It's about people, progressive Jews who are the right people to be on it. There will be people from outside of both the movements, I'm pretty sure. I don't know who's going to chair it. It's probably not going to be me, which will be hard for me. But, we're all having to see how, how it will affect us personally and just deal with that. The objective is that we have a big, I'm going to speak for myself there. The objective is I really believe that a single progressive movement is the right thing to do. I think it's the right for our children. I think it safeguards Judaism for the future. It keeps this part of Judaism strong, and I think that is important. And I know my dad would be proud of me. He would think it's right. I think Lily Montague would approve. I think it's the right thing to do. I know that I may not end up being chair of it. I know that. Charlie, all sorts of things. So there's a little bit of, you lose something when you gain something. And I'm just leaving that there. We will be setting up lots of working parties, providing it's all agreed, this is what we're intending. There's loads of things that need to be dealt with, like we've got 2 rabbinets. Do we want 1? Do we want 2? Well, that needs to be resolved. There's an answer out there. We've got assets, boring things like assets, but that needs to be dealt with. Put our assets into what? We've got two staffing structures. Well, that'll stay for the time being, as will the 2 chief executives. But I suspect when somebody leaves, they'll have a rethink. We'll probably have a shadow structure. But all of that, needs to be dealt with. Liturgy, I think, probably will not be dealt with for a long while. But you can think of other ones. You can think of, a topical one, rabbi's salary. There'll probably be a united scale. But all of these things, do need to be dealt with. The memonarts, we need to have just one. Policies, they need to be united. But all of these things will be done. I'm thinking it will take, well, somebody thought 6 months, but I think more realistically, people thought a year to 18 months is the time scales we're beginning to look at. And there's been some fears expressed, but there was huge kind of wealth of surprise or delight that finally this was happening. People said to me, I think, well done for getting it over the line, or about time too, or I've been doing this for 20 years, or somebody said, I knew it would happen. I didn't think it would happen in my lifetime, but thank you. And then there are, fears. Some people think, are we going to be swallowed up by the RJ? No, we're just not. We're really strong. They want a lot of what's going on. They're good. They've got a similar outlook. And I think that was the biggest. That's the main kind of fear, which has been something which has sort of been in the body of our movement for a long while, a certain fear, or will we have to do things the way they do things? No. Yes?
Could we maybe at this point see if
questions?
Some questions?
Yes, please do. Questions, yes.
I'm going to start by saying I am pleased and excited this is finally happening, having been involved in discussions, I think, back in the 80s. And I am reminded that when I was a child, we were not Liberal Judaism, we were the Union of Liberal and Progressive Synagogues. And I think you remember we were ALT before we were LJ, is just, I think something to that. I have a number of theological concerns. My biggest, so we have a youth movement which is a jewel in LJ's crown. It is a model of inclusivity, not only around gender but also around special needs. And our swine do not manage the same level of inclusivity. I absolutely think you need to use and celebrate the word inclusivity. And I think that's how we protect that in our youth movement, so that all our children feel welcome, valued, a sense of belonging, and that is including our children with special needs.
Yeah, that is one of those things that have to be sorted out. It is a jewel in a crowd. I mean, I have, I think they won't mind me saying, a couple of autistic nephews who were very, I hope that's not my phone, doesn't sound like it. Who were very, who were very much included in it, and it was really wonderful thing, and it seems a joy. It's not perfect, so I'm going to pick on one thing where it is not inclusion. It's expensive. As somebody said, it's a Rolls-Royce service for people who can afford a Rolls-Royce. And there are a lot of people who are not included just because of money, and saying that you can apply for a bursary is a bit embarrassing for some people. So it's not, and that's something I'm picking up on. Go on.
At the moment, there's no plan of bringing both movements and youth movements together.
Oh yeah, there's no plan.
So there will be a LJ style
It's how we the question is how we support LJ to be as good and as inclusive, and I expect exactly what you said.
Yeah.
I'm very aware of it.
Yeah. Well,
I have a long history with LJ and also
yeah.
helped it before that.
So yeah, me too. It's the smallness of LJY Netza is it's means it's a lot more accessible to a lot more people. It's not scary. It's seen absolutely within LJ and beyond. What a good service it provides. It is brilliant. It will be protected, but I don't think anybody is nobody would threaten it. But that will be on a working group. What do we do with our youth? Any more? Yeah.
I hope I don't sound too negative. I class myself as a refugee from the Reform movement.
Yeah.
I found a home in LJ. All the things when you started talking about this, I was going mentally tick, 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 because I have witnessed what you described, how LJ operates. And you are absolutely right to describe it in such glowing terms, from my experience. I'm worried I totally get the reasons, and I've been, like Sarah, not for quite so long. I keep asking the question when I was here are we going to merge? Are we going to merge? Because we're two minorities, and two minorities, it made sense, absolutely. Even since I've come here, I've asked, is it going to happen? No, never. And that we're too ideologically different, but I could still see in all the things you've outlined, I can absolutely see the reasoning. However, what worries me, several things, a couple of things mainly. I worry about, and we sort of struck at the parity for our rabbis. Will our rabbis have parity with Reform rabbis? That's one thing, you sort of touched on it. And it's more than just about salaries for me. And I think that is something, when you talked about working parties, that really needs to be addressed. The difference of how the rabbis in the two movements operate and how they're dealt with and their status. And that for me, I think is very important. But the big issue for me is not how the individual shuls operate, because we all have our own heart beating. It's the heart of the two movements. And trust me, LJ is there compared at the moment to the Reform movement in terms of having a heart. There's no parity there. And that worries me, that LJ is going to work its backside off, and the Reform movement is just going to just hang on to our shirt tails. And that worries me, because, and that is something that I mean that seriously, because I have witnessed over many years, almost since Mr. Richard left, how Reform has lost its way at this level. I don't mean in individual shuls, everybody has their own. And my Reform movement cannot deal with brokers at the moment. So I'm just giving a word of warning. Whilst I'm quite excited, like Sarah, I'm deeply, I burst into tears when my husband read the announcement in the Times. Because I've had those worries all along.
I'll deal with both those straight on. The rabbis, I mean, there's a difference in lots of relationships, lots of things. There will be a working party which will be mostly populated by rabbis who will, come to a view and a settlement and something that they're happy with, and that we will be happy with. And that's what we do. That's how we operate. I mean, like amongst friends here, aren't I? I know how Reform is. I mean, I think I understand it, and it's limited what I can say to some extent. But they want that heart. I mean, when I have spoken to them, we went to have meetings with them and things, and they said, well, you need the senior rabbis of this the big synagogue and that big synagogue, and we'll need ours, and you have the leaders of this synagogue and that one and all this. And I said, well, no, just be me. And they said, well, you can speak for the movement. And I said, well, that's rather my role. But actually, they can't. There's nobody there who's had the power. And at some point, I remember saying, I have nobody to negotiate with. So, but they see that. They see that. And the new chief executive of that, he wants that. He has made a huge sacrifice and taken a huge risk because he shares mine and Charlie's dream, really. And it is safe in our hands. I mean, if you knew the two of us, and there's a third one, we are quite strong and we are of a mind. And they can see why they are 3 times the size of ours, but in not a stronger position. They can see that. They want the heart. They see it as a model. And so often it was almost embarrassing as he said, well, in LJ they do things better. In LJ it's like this. And it was, and we have to say, well, we haven't got it right, not all of it. We've got this problem, that problem. But I'm not concerned about that. And if I was, and I thought I was going to lose the movement, I wouldn't have done that. So it is, be reassured. We're invincible, really.
I'm reassured with you, but I still...
We can manage them. Yes, and then there's a question over there.
Thank you.
Sorry.
My concern is the possibility of a single baked in. I'm nervous about that possibility because I think it would bring a risk greater than at present of inconsistent decisions being made by the baked in, depending on who happens to be sitting on that particular day. From a much larger group of rabbis, I think there is a risk of, for example, proselytes applying for Jewish status, finding that the result of their application depends on who's actually sitting on the day to a greater extent than it does at the moment.
Well, it doesn't sound a very good situation, does it? There will be, it's going to be, my answer's going to be the same. If I as a lay chair started pontificating on the bet din, I'll soon get myself into trouble. It's not my place, and there's other people who know a lot more about it than me, and I'm looking at rabbis here. That will be sorted. I know it's been mentioned to me already. One of the things that needs sorting out, we've got a list of things, and bet din is on it. So we don't want inconsistent decisions. Of course we don't. But there will be a working party, and they will pick up the bet din. But I will take that comment back and say and identify it as a specific problem. Okay? Thank you. Did you have a question? And then is it you? I don't know who's first. Go ahead.
So I'm not very good at speaking like this, but
it's not a competition.
I'm over the moon at what you're going to do, and I think it's brilliant. And I was very excited when I heard the news. But I see during the week a lot of people from the Reform movement, and with my excitement, I was saying to some of these congregants from the Reform, naively, isn't this wonderful? We'll merge it, we'll have a bigger force. And at least 4 people I spoke to from the Reform movement said, I don't think it's a good idea. So these are the congregants. And that's what...
Why did they say why?
Well, they wouldn't say much, wouldn't elaborate because I'm a liberal Jew.
What do you think then?
We're not doing it properly. We're watered down Judaism. I've had that statement said to me before, but that was from somebody from the United. But I didn't actually hear those words. But the way they spoke, and this is what concerns me, because yes, you could take it to council, you could do everything, but if the congregants, I'm only just saying.
It's good to know. You don't need a load of people saying yes. They don't need to change. We know we do things properly. We know we are totally faithful with our ancestors, with our heritage, our traditions. We know that. We know we think about what we're doing. they can keep their minhag and we can keep ours. You know, they don't need to change it in their synagogue.
It's just the wording. It's just amalgamate. You know, or whatever you want to call it. That's what they do in their synagogue. We keep what we do. They keep. It's just their views. And although I want this to happen, I don't want to be part of somebody whose views are different.
We're not quite good enough.
We're not quite good enough.
You know, sorry if I may.
No, please.
The creation of a progressive movement in the UK won't change much in the daily life of synagogues. We keep the same siddur for the time being, we keep the same structure, the same culture, we won't change that. The big advantage is bringing together the resources. We were talking about assets, bring the college into this structure, which will save the college. I think, I'm maybe speaking a bit further, but bringing the college into the conversation will help, It's more on the central, but communities will stay the same.
It will just be, are there reform chairs or people going around telling their congregation this as well? As long as they're aware that...
So the rabbis are totally on board.
Yeah.
The reform rabbis are totally on board. And yes, Leo Beck is it's been a problem, it's been an opportunity, it's been a resource, it's been a drain. It's a lot of things, and it's been difficult having a three-way conversation. When we can have a two-way conversation, it will be better for that one. And I hear what you're saying is about, do you want to be with people who don't like us or whatever? I know, but I'm exaggerating to make the point. But actually, and are they going round? I think the rabbis will probably be saying things. The chair isn't, because that isn't what they've done so far, because they haven't had the chief exec and they probably haven't had the capacity, and perhaps they don't like it quite as much as I do, whatever. So they may not have been, but that will happen. And we will start going to them. I mean, I can't walk into anyone, but I can walk into the two that are near me, that I will get an invitation to, the two that are in my borough. So we will be going and seeing that. And I think that within the rabbinate, they will, allay that fear as well.
Well, I think it's very good news. I wonder why it didn't happen years ago, like some commentators are saying. But I think I need to go even further. It's quite nice that the synagogues keep their own identity up to a point. But I actually think, given the fact that the Liberal movement were working on a new prayer book, that we should have the same prayer book right through the movement. So if we go to other synagogues, rather like the United, you would also have the same siddur. So I think that would help, especially if you're working on a new one. That's one thing. I also think at some stage we should all consider changing our name. So for instance, we're Kingston Liberal Synagogue. That perhaps if the movement is going to be called Progressive Judaism, our synagogue should be Kingston Progressive Synagogue, and Wimbledon Reform should be Wimbledon Progressive Synagogue. This synagogue has changed its name in the past, years ago, so it wouldn't be so unusual. It seems to me it would be a bit odd to say, well, that's the Reform Synagogue, this is the Liberal Synagogue, but we're all under the same movement. To me, it's much more streamlined if it has a similar name with the word progressive in the title. Now, all these things aren't going to happen quickly. I accept that. Prayer books can't happen quickly. But I actually think we should aim for that. We should have the aim set out. So one would be synagogue, similar names, synagogue prayer book, similar prayer book, those sort of things.
Well,
they spent a fortune. Reform had changed not that long ago. There's no way that there's the money for.
So we don't all use the same prayer book. I mean, within Liberals, I was at a Havara last night. They have a different thing. I was at BKY, Beit Kalal Israel. They have a very good one. It's different. They have a different pamphlet. We don't all have the same, and we don't have to. And even if most Liberal ones use Siddur Lev Chadash, they don't all. Within changing names, I mean, some places, there's only one here, isn't there, Kingston? Although you're quite near to northwest Surrey, aren't you? Which I found out, because that's where another one of my relatives is, and our family scroll is kept. But, I didn't realise how close you were. But actually, in places like Finchley, there's Finchley Reform and Finchley Progressive, and I can't tell you how badly it would go down if anybody suggested that anybody change their name. It's not important, you know. It may be over time. When we create a new prayer book, I don't think we're going to create in two, are we? But ours is well out of date. That's kind of hit the buffers a bit, the Siddur, our one, and theirs is quite nice. But I suspect we'll be doing one then. But and I suspect people will start using the same one, because that'll be the one that's printed. We've just reprinted Siddur Lev Hadash, but that'll be the one that's available. So I expect pragmatically people will do that. But we're not going to ask people to change their names. And there may be in the future they will, but it would really upset people if we did that now. Now, where I've been going on, carry on. Another question, yeah.
No, it's Janet, I think, first.
Janet, sorry, Janet.
It's really a comment more than a question, because United Synagogue is probably only about 40% of Jews now, and we are growing. So at some point, the progressive movement would equal United Synagogue. The group is really growing rapidly, or the Haredi. But still in all, our power vis-a-vis the United Synagogue is, and especially when we come together as a progressive movement, it's really going to be, I think, something quite important.
It's significant change, isn't it? Because the Haredi will be taking over from us all. I mean, their numbers are huge, but, you know, yes, absolutely. And it's significant. Going up from, what are we, 7% now? I don't know, 7 to 30 is huge.
So, one last, it's already 12:30, guys.
Sorry.
It took much longer than expected. I thought it was important to have this conversation today. So, last one from Philip, and then we conclude our service.
If next time you come to address us, or even if the first time you came to address us, it would be much more interesting if somebody from Reform came to address us, and somebody from Liberal went to Reform to address the congregation. And then you see a reaction. But you're talking to your own, and they are talking to their own. Let's see the opposite, please.
Well, I'll pass that back. I mean, man after my own heart, I want to go to Reform. I just need to make sure that I don't tread on anybody's toes, you know, in doing that. So I'm waiting, asking for an invitation, and then I can suggest we're volunteers. But I hear what you're saying, and I'm going to take that back because it's what I wanted to hear. Can I just have a quick word about the biennial? I will stop soon. The biennial is in Daventry on the 19th to the 21st of May. This is going to be a topic. It's a time. I'll tell you who's going to be there then. Some of the Reform. We've asked them to come to talk, to speak. They will definitely be present. We've invited them. It's a chance, a big chance to mix with other progressive Jews. I've almost stopped using the word liberal now. Other progressive Jews, but it's mostly liberal. There's many strands. It's called Liberal Judaism Matters, I think. It doesn't matter what the name is. It's always the same. We have different strands. Theology, which is the one I like. There's music, there's inclusion, there's art, there's Israel, there's community. You know, lots of different strands of 4 sessions of each. And in between that, there's a wide choice of services. There's entertainment, there's meals, there's chatting. There's a program for young people and for children. There's an emerging leaders place, which is £50, costs £50 just for them to go. And there's a strand for them. There's bursaries for those who need it. Some of the fundraising that we got have gone to that, or we've got a donor for it. And that's the thing, you see, people are pleased with what we're doing, they give us money. So we've got 10,000 donations to provide bursaries. It works, it really does, for those. We're going to look after, I worry about, you know, people who've come for the first time or on their own. I said, well, you know, I was worried about who am I going to sit with and will anybody talk to me? And actually, so there will be seating plans, and I'll be there, so you can come sit with me. Mm-hmm. But so I'm going to tell you the money, even though it's Shabbat, because, you know, £275 for those sharing a room, £350 for those not. As I said, there's the emerging leaders. Everybody's entitled, every community's entitled to send somebody on that. Please do. You've done already. And there are bursaries. Really, you know, somebody's giving the money, it'd be rude not to. You make good use of it. For those who would like that. If you come, when you get there, my husband Andrew and I will be in the bar, and we'll be looking forward to meeting you. So, you know, we're seeing you. So, Thank you, and there's some of that bursary is going to be used for that as well. So, you know, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. It was very important for us to hear you. And also to let you know that we've invited Rabbi Chan Baginski to be the guest speaker for the AGM. So this conversation will continue with Charlie towards the end of it's in June. 11th of June.
11 o'clock on the 11th of June.
11 o'clock on the 11th of June.
And very importantly, we are looking for more people to join us on council because there are a couple of vacant positions, particularly education and social events. We need someone on council to act as the coordination. The role is not to do, the role is to make sure it gets done.
To give orders.
Yeah.
So if any of you likes to give orders to other people. So we're going to finish here. So I'm conscious of the time. So I know that Joyce, you have a yahrzeit this Shabbat. So we're going to say the Kaddish for your late husband. Also Shirley Crabb is the mother of Stephanie Wugenik and grandmother of Joshua. We have John Tyrer, the husband of Joyce Tyrer. Do you have any other names you would like to remember today?
Miriam Buss. What's his name now? Ziesel. Miriam Buss Ziesel.
Miriam Buss Ziesel, yeah. Okay, Zichronam Livracha. May the memory be a blessing. Please stand for the Kaddish on page 524. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהא שמי רבה מבורך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתפרר וישתבר ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה על שמי לקודשה ברכו. לאלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום בברומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל בני אדם ואמרו אמן. Please be seated. So next week we have Shabbat Island Disc, and Rebecca's dad will be there, sharing his love of music, and I hope lots of memories of Rebecca as well.
I hope not.
I hope so. Yeah, we want to know everything.
He's already written the notes for Sandra, and in the notes he was talking about Carmen. He wrote, Rebecca was always loads of trouble, but Carmen was a delight.
Well, so you know it.
But then it's also my birthday, so there will be sparkly kiddush.
Oh,
and I might bring some cakes as well, but I don't have to get back to
brilliant. So I'll definitely be there, yes.
21 again, so please come and help me celebrate.
And Shabbat morning we are going with Craig, Rebecca, I think Mary is coming as well.
Yeah.
Are you going to Ipswich? And Baba Ortner. So you know we're landing a Torah scroll to the Suffolk community, and we will bring it next Shabbat. And I think it's Rabbi Jet and Vince leading the service.
And Robin.
And Robin, okay.
So we're triple threat next Shabbat morning.
Yeah. So just, it's not a secret because you'll see a bit more of her, but the emerging leaders, I've sent Robin to Banya because I think she will really benefit from that. I mean, we all went to the service that she led, and she's amazing. Okay, so Maya Fe'ayam, and then we can. So I don't know if they left, and I said to the kids to have a kiddush not to wait for us, so I don't know how much they left. We'll see that. Shabbat shalom. Well, please rise for one more time, last time. Adonai yishmor tzetecha uvorecha me'ata ve'ad olam, the eternal one God are going out and coming in now and always. And let us say, Amen. So I can see that we have Anna online and also Simon Bencher is watching today, and Maxine and Alexander from Berlin, and Michelle and all of you who are wherever you are. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Yeah. Thank you, Ruth. Thank you. I think it was really important to have you today. Yes. Thank you.
Oh, can I get a photo of Ruth and Matt? Why don't you have me use Craig and Ruth?
Yes.
Craig? Yes. Have a photo. Yes, I will.
Oh gosh, I forgot. Oh yes, sorry. Yeah, we'll do before. Yeah, we just okay, guys. Sorry, I completely